Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. My thing is going up. My name, of course, is John Campea. It's good to have you guys here joining us today. And, a second, I'm having some audio problems.
Sound good to me.
Yeah, I'm having audio problems. What a way to start the show here today. Oh, there we go. Now we're good to go. Good to have you guys here. Hopefully there won't be no more. This is what happens, Rob, when Jonathan's not in today.
I know.
When Jonathan's not here and I'm left here to run everything by myself, everything goes to crap without Jonathan here.
We will soldier through, John.
That's right. We will push our way through. Good to have you guys here. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined by Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
Good to be here. You know, the movie that I'm convinced is going to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards in 2027. We're going to talk about it, and I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things today. And here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics that we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, I'm going to be taking questions that you guys have sent in to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. The link is down in the description if you want to use it, because you can use that tip link anytime, 24 hours a day. And if you send in a tip question, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys, we got a lot of things we need to talk about here today, so let's not waste any time. Let's get into it, and we're going to start off with this. You know, one of the big things that they showed us at CinemaCon was about a 10-minute preview of the upcoming Lord and Miller Ryan Gosling movie, Project Hail Mary. And now we've got our first look at the poster that they have put out today. Rob, I know you have been excited about this. Here's a look at this poster. Stylistically, very much in line with kind of the book cover of it. What was the name of this is the guy who wrote
Andy Weir.
The Martian, right?
Yeah, Andy Weir.
Andy Weir wrote this, who wrote The Martian. The poster looks great, but maybe even more relevant to the conversation is that besides the poster, they've also announced the first trailer is dropping on Monday. First trailer is dropping on Monday. Now, I am very curious. They're clearly not going to be showing you guys the full 10 whatever minutes that they showed us at CinemaCon. But I am very, very curious about how much of that 10 minutes they showed us will be in the trailer, how much of it will be new. But Rob, let me throw a little something out there at you. Okay?
I'm ready.
It's June.
I
okay?
know.
This movie's supposed to come out, March?
Yeah.
March of 2026?
Yes. That's
July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's like a baby away. That is one huge, from insemination to birth canal, that is like a 9-month. So I'm going to throw this out
gestation.
there. I'm going to throw this out there. What if come Monday, a trailer comes out and it drops coming December 2025. I'm just saying, they're dropping this trailer really early. Not early 5 or 6 years ago, but by today's standards, dropping this trailer now seems kind of early. Again, look, I'm not putting money on that they're going to surprise everybody, even though they just put on this poster, coming March 20th. But I'm just saying I wouldn't fall over out of shock if I found out on Monday when they dropped the trailer that they've moved it into the Christmas season to be an Oscar contender. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Rob, the more immediate concerns here. They dropped the poster. What do you think about it? And what do you think about them bringing the first trailer this early on Monday?
Well, first of all, like you pointed out before we went on the show, I love how the poster uses the logo and it's of the book cover, and it's redolent of the book cover. Now, as you know, I've been at CinemaCon. This was the one thing that I wanted to see more than anything, any footage from. I think this movie is going to win Best Picture, and I know it comes out the same year as Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, so that's a tall order. But having read this book, and it was a one-sitting book for me, I cracked it open and sat down and was locked in. One sitting, read the entire book in my kitchen. Elizabeth kept coming in going, do you want to go move to the couch? I'm like, no, I didn't want to interrupt the flow, man. I love this book so much. It's populist science fiction at its very best. And what was really interesting is there's kind of a twist. It's not really a twist, but there's a character that's introduced later that I will be more beloved than Baby Yoda. I'm just saying. And this character, they did not show, they just alluded to this character
in the footage they showed us.
In the footage they showed.
Yep, we never saw it.
I really hope that they leave that reveal to the film itself. I don't know if they can with a 9-month window. But what's really interesting is I know that sometimes it's a dubious source, but World of Real did run a piece about, they screened this movie. They did have I guess an NRG screening, a National Research Group screening for an audience. And this was almost, according to that article, this is almost a 3-hour long movie. And the screening went through the roof, which, by the way, does not surprise me at all because of how compelling the story is. And they were talking about in this article that they might pull up the release date. I would do that because I don't see anything coming out. You never know. We still have the latter half of 2025. I don't see any movie coming out that is anywhere remotely close to this in terms of what this can deliver to an audience. And after seeing the trailer, or it was more like you said, it was like 8 minutes of footage. The footage was just all from the early part of the movie.
Yeah.
And the design work, the tone of it, I thought it was absolutely perfection. And I don't think I've ever been so, at least as I get closer in my old age, I don't think I've ever seen a movie trailer that was an adaptation of a book I've loved that looked like a perfect adaptation of the book in terms of casting with Gosling, in terms of, and also the woman from Anatomy of a Fall,
yep,
the German actress, in terms of tone, in terms of production design. Everything about this movie looks to be like, I couldn't ask for anything better. I am the excitement that I have, John. I know this leaves me open to tremendous disappointment, but the excitement I have for this movie is off the charts. It's up in the stratosphere where it should be, and I can't wait to see this. And if they bring this out, I know it says March, but you know what? It said Thunderbolts with an asterisk, and then they changed it to New Avengers. So I think, they could get away with something like that, especially because they can put it into the marketing. If the trailer causes the stir that footage at CinemaCon caused, in terms of, I could see them doing that because of popular demand, because people didn't want to wait 9 months.
Due to worldwide outcry that they want this sooner.
And I think, look, the world needs this movie because if nothing else, it's one of the most uplifting. I mean, this is a movie that is full of a sense of awe and wonder. And in a way, if I could equate it to anything, it could be, it's Interstellar meets E.T. If that's something to,
To really put a highlight here on just how good the footage they showed us at CinemaCon was. I have not read Project Hail Mary. I don't know the story of, I know the gist, right? But I don't know the story of Project Hail Mary. All I've known is that Rob was really, really excited to see it. That's all I've known, right? And so when we're sitting there and it became clear they're about to talk about Project Hail Mary and they got Lord Miller and all that kind of stuff. So I'm watching it.
It's what opened the presentation.
Yeah, they opened the presentation. As somebody who does not know this story, as somebody who is not the one that's super looking forward to it, this footage ended and I was agog. Like, I turned to Rob and I was like, I think I said something to you, Rob, along the lines of, now I see what you're talking about. Like, this thing looks amazing. And you're right. Like, the whole place, like the 5,000 people in there were all just like, I think, kind of shocked by how good it looked. And, if it can deliver on the promise, and that's it's one thing to put out a good trailer. It's another thing to actually make a great movie. But if they can deliver on that promise, we could already be looking at a very early race for next year's Oscars, not the upcoming Oscars. Like, it could be a 2-horse race already between Odyssey and Project Hail Mary. But that's how good this thing looks. So if you had to give it an over-under number, what would you say the chances are that when the trailer drops on Monday, they announce an earlier release date? What would you say the chances of that are?
I don't know if they're going to announce it Monday, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the summer, they would up that release date, because this was the first thing they showed at the Amazon presentation, and it was the Amazon's presentation. CinemaCon was impressive, but they didn't even say anything.
No.
The lights went down in the theater, and this came up without explanation, and it was like 8 minutes long. And I have to tell you, the thing that told me there is an extraterrestrial component to this movie, and they show you the design. We see the design of this an extraterrestrial vessel, and it was just one shot. And the nearest I could explain it is it looks like the Sulaco from Aliens mixed with the innards of a piano, like a grand concert piano. It looked like this beautiful, elegant, burnished. It's a spaceship like you've never seen, and
You
it
know
was
what it
so
reminded me
gorgeous.
of? Here's what it reminded me of. Not any one specific ship,
Yeah,
but when I saw it, I thought this looks like it would fit right in Babylon 5. Like if I was
Yeah,
watching Babylon
yeah.
5 and that ship showed up, I think this fits right in here. You know what I'm saying?
And that was the thing. I mean, the design of something that looks truly alien yet elegant and beautiful at the same time, dude. I have to tell you, this thing, and to me, it's not even the same studio, but in a way, imagine this movie taking place like 50 years after The Martian. It could be in the same universe.
Oh, that would be
I'd
kind
like
of
to
cool.
believe
if it
it's
did.
the Weirverse. This is the second movie in the Weirverse.
Maybe they even change it up a little bit from the book and they say like Ryan Gosling ended up being a student of Matt
Right.
Damon's character, who is now older and retired or something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about the new poster for the upcoming Ryan Gosling, Lord and Miller film, Project Hail Mary? And the fact that we're getting a trailer on Monday. I can't wait for you guys to see at least a little bit of the stuff that they showed us, because I lost my mind over it. I think it looks great. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Now, I am an unapologetic fan of Megan. I like that movie. That's not a movie that's going to win any Academy Awards, but it was legitimately creepy at times, had some legitimate scares, it had some decent little laughs into it too, and it was just a fun little movie, right? Fun, lower budget, harmless little movie. I enjoyed it, and I loved it when I found out that they were doing a Megan Part 2. And I've seen the trailers for it, and I like the trailers. I think it's looked pretty good. Actually, Ann and I have been pretty excited about seeing it. Now, I'm not on a great streak for the movies I've seen. Like, fortunately, I just watched F1 and I really liked that. But the previous 3 movies before that, like Elio, what were they? Elio, 28 Years Later, and Jurassic World, all either I didn't like or they underwhelmed me. So I was hoping after seeing F1, I could go in to see Megan 2.0 and have a new hot streak start with 2 movies in a row that I really like. Yeah, you don't always get what you want. Megan 2 sucks. It absolutely ridiculously sucks. Is it as bad as a Kraven the Hunter? No. It's not. I don't even think Megan 2 is going. It's not even bad enough that I say it's a strong contender for worst film of the year. I'm not going to say that either, but it is bad. It's a bad film. And listen, I am shocked, because after I saw the movie, I jumped on Rotten Tomatoes to see what other people are saying about it. And I was shocked, I tell thee, that it had a 59%. That is much higher than I thought it would be. And so, I mean, there are people who are enjoying it for what it is, and that's great. I guess there were people who were shocked when they heard me say that I liked the first one. I'm sure there were people who hated the first one that were shocked, but I don't understand how 59% of the people seeing this movie thought it was good. I don't get it, but that's okay. That's the beautiful thing about movies. They're all subjective. First of all, I got to say this. The first one was a tongue-in-cheek little horror movie, right? At its heart, that's what it was. It was a tongue-in-cheek, not taking itself too seriously little horror film. And on that level, I thought that movie completely worked. And it was engaging, and it entertained me, and it was fun. So I was looking for that, like what the trailers seemed to promise for Megan 2 was more of that same, maybe just amping it up a little bit, right? So it looked like there were going to be some awesome kills, and it looked like maybe it would be funnier than the first one and all that kind of stuff. None of that is true. None of it is true. They decided they wanted to change the genre of Megan, which, by the way, is not an unforgivable sin, Rob, because you can make an argument that Alien kind of changed genres a little bit when it went into
100%.
Aliens 2. Terminator changed genre a little bit when it went from Terminator to Terminator 2. So you're allowed to do that. You are allowed to shift gears with your genre. But here's the thing. If you want to shift gears and make your movie an action comedy, one, you better be funny, and two, you better have good action. Let's start with number one. This movie is not funny in the least. They constantly tried throughout the film laying on this grade school level screenwriting jokes. Hey, it's better than I could write, but I'm not the level of excellence here, am I? It was complete. There was one, I said this in my out of theater review, Rob. There was one funny line, and I'm going to give it away. I don't care. I don't care. The one funny line is that Megan and the girl are keeping an eye on this one guy. I won't say what the context is. And they're trying to kind of read lips, make out what he's saying. And Megan says that what that guy is saying is, I have a yeasty vagina, when clearly that wasn't what he was saying. That was funny. Not the way I just told it, but take my word for it. It was funny in the movie, and I laughed. And that was it. No other laughs. There's even this one scene where Megan starts singing to one of the other girls, like serenading her. And I'm like, oh, I get it. They think this is funny. How adorable. It wasn't funny. It was completely unfunny. So if you're going to switch genre to an action comedy, one, you better be funny, but two, you better have good action. I can't say that Megan 2 didn't have good action, Rob, because I couldn't bloody see it.
Oh no.
Whenever they had, basically Megan has this, I know Kung Fu moment, and okay, now she's a Kung Fu master. Okay, that's fine actually, because she is an android and whatever, and this can make some cool fights, right? So you could tell they're having these massive Kung Fu battles, except they suffered from the same thing as Snake Eyes.
Oh.
An
bad.
epileptic sheep herding dog was the camera person. And it was like, and the editing and the cameras, it's like, it sounds like there's some good action going on. Not that we can see it, so whatever. It constantly breaks. Remember, I don't mind movies that makes no sense by real world logic. All I want a movie to do is to abide by its own stated sense of logic. It doesn't have to be real world logic, heaven forbid. Just follow your own rules of law. This movie goes all over the place. But the thing that drove me most nuts, Rob, this is the part that drove me the most crazy about it. And they never even remotely struggle or whatever kind of deal with this, which is the basic conceit of the movie is this, Rob. Hey, Megan killed a bunch of people. Like, she straight up murdered a bunch of people in the last film. Yeah, but everybody deserves a second chance, and I'm good now. Good enough for me. Let's go. And seriously, it was like everybody's just this concept of everybody deserves a second chance. No, wait, time out here. She didn't double dip her chip. She murdered people. And Megan's excuse is, I was young. I deserve a second chance. And it's like, oh, okay, so Megan's just a good guy now. Cool, I guess.
You know, it's interesting, John, the Gerard Johnstone, who wrote the script for this, is a writer-director, but he hasn't made anything in 9 years.
Wow.
So last thing he did was a movie called Housebound. So it's I always find that interesting. Like, what's he been doing for 9 years, and how did he get this particular job?
I will say this. I can see the vision. I can see what the vision was, especially coming out. Again, I'm a fan of the first Megan. I like that movie. I was really excited for this Megan film. I thought the trailers were good, and I can see the vision. And again, I don't mind that they decided to switch gears as far as, genre goes and switch. That's all fine. I see what their vision was. It was to make an over-the-top, fun action comedy film. And to be fair, Megan is kind of set up to do that and do that well.
But
they just didn't do it well.
And it's, you know, Gerard Johnson did direct the original Megan too, and so you've got the team coming back. But I think you nailed it when they tried to do something different. They tried to change the genre, and I can understand them doing that, because where do you go? Even the presentation at CinemaCon, when it had all those multiple Megans come out and do the dance number,
that was really cool, by the way. When
it was pretty cool, and I can see what they were doing. I mean, what they were going for, but it's hard to do when you're shifting genres. I mean, it's a bummer, because I think they've had a lot of fun with the marketing. Certainly what we saw at CinemaCon was bonkers, and it made me want to see it. But
I want to see it too. But hey, listen, I do want to remind everybody here, that's just my opinion, okay? It does right now have a 59%, which isn't great, but it does mean that a slight majority of the critics who are seeing it are saying it's at least good. And I'm not, but you might still enjoy it. Just remember, guys, just because I didn't like it, I'm simply telling you I didn't like it and why it didn't work for me, but that does not necessarily mean it won't work for you. If you've been dying to see this movie, still go see it and check it out for yourself. I'm just letting you guys know in advance, for me, it was a tremendous disappointment. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about Megan 2.0 if you had a chance to see it? Are you planning on seeing it? Did you like the first one? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I don't know if there's a bigger cautionary tale in the world of film and filmmaking than that of Michael Bay making Transformers movies. Now, listen, I'm a Michael Bay defender. We've talked about that a lot on the show. There's a number of his films that I really like, and I will defend Michael Bay. And I like the first Transformers movie very much, as a matter of fact. But everyone after that was complete gutter trash. And it got so bad, and he ran it so far into the ground, that by the time they got to, where was the one where Mark Wahlberg ended up being the last descendant of a Cybertonian knight? The last night. The last night, or the final night, the last night, whatever, good night, whatever it's called. That one, like, literally its box office fell in half, and then that ran it so far into the ground that then when they put out a really good Transformers movie in the form of Bumblebee, nobody wanted to go see it anymore because Michael Bay had run it into the ground. Well, then instead of following up a good Transformers movie like Bumblebee with a Bumblebee 2, the people over at Paramount made the mind-numbingly stupid decision, instead of doing a sequel to that, let's make another one in the vein of Michael Bay, and they did Beast Wars, that nobody cares about. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a segment of the fandom that knows the Beast Wars and all that kind of stuff, and the primals and whatever. Yes, and you like it, yes. But compared to the overall movie-going audience, nobody cared about Beast Wars, and you got what you got with that. And then when they put out a great Transformers movie in the animated Transformers 1, and make no mistake, that movie is pure capital G great. It's a great movie, man. Nobody wanted to go see it. So what do? Well, let's go back to Michael Bay. That seems to be their thing, because Screen Rant and others are now reporting that Michael Bay is returning to the Transformers franchise, as he reportedly has a new movie in development that he plans to direct. Bay shepherded the live-action movie franchise based on Hasbro's iconic toy line to the big screen back in 2007, and directed 5 movies overall in his time. All right. Look, there is no denying that the Transformers movies, man, the good one, the horrible ones, they made money. They did. The price tag of them making that much money, though, was they ran it into the ground and made all the moviegoers lose any faith in the franchise. But they did make money. I also need to point out here and be very clear that what this story does not say is that Michael Bay is, in fact, coming back to direct. It's saying he's developing one. He's got a screenwriter. they've been developing new film, and that his target is to develop this thing into a good enough package that he wants to direct, that then Paramount will green light it and go. So it is by no means official. It is by no means automatically happening. But according to all the sources we're reading here, he is developing a new one. He's got the screenwriter. He is targeting and circling to direct it. Rob, you know me. I am, if nothing, an optimist. But to me, this is a cataclysmic bad idea. Like and I say this as somebody who often defends Michael Bay. This is clearly a horrible, horrible idea. And I get it that Hasbro and Paramount are desperate right now, but this is a move that's beyond desperation to me. I don't know. You hear about this. What do you think about the concept of it? Do you think it will actually come to be? What do you think about this?
Well, look, I mean, even Rise of the Beasts or whatever it was called made $450 million worldwide. And like, I loved Bumblebee, but it didn't do a heck of a lot of money. It's not the billion-dollar franchise that it used to be at its height. But Michael Bay did take it to those heights. Look, I just think that, does the world need, we've had what? There's been 7 Transformers feature films, live action feature films, 7. Do we need an 8th? You know, I mean, you can only get so far with robots beating up other robots. I mean, we only got 2 Pacific Rim films, and I would like more of those. But I don't know. Look, I'm always, a franchise or an IP is one movie away from being great again. If they have a great story.
That's true.
You know, if they have a great story, which great story and Transformers seem diametrically opposed ideas. But if they had something that was actually, because I thought First Night was terrible, and I'm like a Dark of the Moon apologist. I love that movie. If only because the battle in Chicago at the end of that movie is bonkers. It's 45 minutes of ILM's most jaw-dropping work in the modern age. I'll tell you, I'll die on that hill. But this, like you, I don't see this being a very good idea. The last thing Michael Bay directed, by the way, was a parkour documentary that came out in March.
Really? I'm not even familiar with it.
I wasn't either until I just looked it up now. It's called We Are Storer, and it's about the Storer parkour team. I'll tell you one thing, though. Michael Bay directing a parkour documentary, I want to see that. I want to see the footage.
You know what's funny is that, I mean, I never even heard of that thing. Now, the last movie that I saw that Michael Bay directed, and I'm a Michael Bay defender, okay? I love Armageddon. I love The Rock. I think his movie, The Island, is underrated. Pain and Gain is really Bad Boys, right? He did this movie with Jake Gyllenhaal called Ambulance, which was all types of dog shit on the bottom of your shoe. I mean, it was terrible.
You had to take his drones away. Drones away.
Seriously, that whole movie was, oh my God, somebody gave Michael Bay a drone for Christmas, and he's like, I gotta use this in every shot in my movie. And like, it's basically Drone the movie. But yeah, that movie was just terrible. Oh my God. But anyway, you're right though. Every franchise is one great movie away. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? If they make this movie, do they bring Shia back? Do they bring Megan Fox back? Do they bring Josh Duhamel back?
Anthony Hopkins?
Do you think? No, I think Anthony's ready to walk away from that one. But do you think maybe he brings the old gang back together?
Look, you know what? That's definitely a popular trend now. Going back and getting your characters to come back and be in the movies again. Put it together. They brought the old gang back together for Jurassic Park, for Jurassic World.
The 2 gangs. They brought the 2 gangs together.
The 2 gangs together. And so I could see that happening. And I just wish that Michael Bay would make another Pain and Gain. And do something. Look, there's no doubt. Or
something in the spirit of that.
Yes, not like Pain.
Not a sequel, yeah.
Something was based on a true story. I mean, the idea of Bayhem, I like cinematic Bayhem. I like, no one blows up stuff better than Michael Bay, and he shoots it all with like 10 cameras. So you know it's gonna look exciting. But I would like to see him go back and do a character piece. I mean, Pain and Gain was legitimately, I thought, a really fun movie. It had great performances in it. And you know what? That's one thing I will say, that they might be over the top, but like, give me Billy Bob Thornton as the leader of NASA, working in mission control. You get a good performance out of Billy Bob Thornton.
Didn't he do that in Armageddon?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. I see what you're saying.
So you watch his movies, and like Armageddon is fun.
Yeah.
He when he puts an ensemble of actors together, look, man, I have a soft spot for Pearl Harbor. I'll admit it. It's not great, but I love it. Watching Ben Affleck, and it's there's some great stuff in that movie. I mean, clearly he wanted his Titanic, and that's not what he got. But hey, I'll watch that. I'll watch it. And his movies, definitely guilty pleasures. Like you said, Armageddon's one of the great guilty pleasures of all time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I just had a brain scratch here. In that horrible Marky Mark and his funky Bodicons movie that he did, was the little girl not Hawk Girl? And the girl from what's her name again? The Dora the Explorer, who then is now Hawk Girl in Superman.
Yeah, Isabella Merced.
Merced. Was that Isabella Merced when was that her?
Well might be. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm seeing people in the live chatter now saying, "Yep, it was Isabella Merced."
See, Michael Bay has an eye for talent. She's a great actress.
She is great. Yeah, she's absolutely great. Anyway, all right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Michael Bay is, according to the other reports, he is developing a new live-action Transformers movie that he is circling to direct himself. He's got a screenwriter working with him. Now, it's not greenlit by Paramount at this point, but it could come. 2 questions for you. What would you think about it if they did do this? Good idea, bad idea? And then secondly, do you think this is actually going to happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I love my MCU. Clearly, there have been a bunch of projects they've put out in the last number of years that I have not distinctly loved. But overall, I love the MCU. And one of my absolute favorite guys in the MCU is Chris Hemsworth's Thor. I think Thor Ragnarok is one of the best films that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done. Not so much Thor Love and Thunder, but it is what it is. But there's been a lot of talk going around about, some people thought that Chris Hemsworth might be done playing the God of Thunder. Then there have been some reports saying, Marvel is circling to do another Thor movie, which has me excited because I love this character. I love it when I love the character himself. I love the way Chris Hemsworth plays it. I love that Chris Hemsworth evolves the character, so he's always a little bit different. Even when it doesn't work out so well, like in Thor Love and Thunder. But still, I love him as this. Well, now, a new report has come out that is suggesting that they now actually may even have a title for it. This comes to us from the folks over at Superhero Hype who are reporting this. According to Scooper Daniel Richmond, Marvel Studios is developing a new MCU project called Thor Quest. No further details beyond that were provided. This is merely a rumor at this time and should be taken with a grain of salt, as there has been no formal announcement about a Thor Quest project, and Hemsworth is only confirmed to return to the MCU in Avengers Doomsday. Now, the article goes on to point out that there was a kid's book that they put out a couple of years ago, specifically called Thor Quest, which involved Thor and Loki when they were younger. So I don't know, maybe it's a movie where it's like kid versions of Thor. Maybe it's like, Rob, maybe it's like their Star Wars skeleton crew, but in the Thor universe.
Yeah.
Little Thor and little Loki. That's Loki when he's working out. Yoki. So little Thor and little Loki are running around the cosmos, getting into mischief, and then they come across something that maybe comes into play a little bit later on with Avengers Doomsday. I don't know. That's just pure speculation. Or what it is most likely is that's just the name of the new adult Thor film. Now, again, this is coming from one of these online scoopers that is sometimes quite right and sometimes wrong. So take it with a big grain of salt. I don't mind the title, but Rob, to me, it's just the big part of this story to me is that it's another confirmation that they are indeed moving in the direction of another Thor movie. Because we've heard the reports before that they are planning on doing another Thor. Chris Hemsworth is planning on being Thor again outside of an Avengers film. And this seems to double down on that. Do you think we are going to get another standalone Thor film? If so, do you like the idea of Thor Quest? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, the Thor franchise, I mean, there's been 4 Thor movies, and even Love and Thunder, which is a movie I really actively dislike, made like $750 million. So it's always been a stable earner in the 4 movies that they've made with Chris Hemsworth. And I think, like you said, Chris Hemsworth as Thor is an irresistible screen presence. I mean, talk about perfect casting. From his voice to his physicality to his sense of humor. I love that idea, what Nate's saying about George Miller directing it. I mean, the action would be insane if they did something like that. And I could definitely see, I don't know how many more movies Chris Hemsworth has in him. You know, we're coming up with, by the time Secret Wars or whatever is all over, you're looking at the MCU is going to be celebrating its 20th anniversary in 3 years. And that's a lot. That's a lot of life to spend. I mean, Hugh Jackman obviously has got him beat, but still to have to deal with that physique to make those movies, man, that's got to be rough. And but I could definitely see a new Thor movie getting made. I think, you know, for in terms of box office, it's stable. If Thor Love and Thunder can make 750 million or something, I mean, you could get a Thor movie if it was directed by somebody like George Miller up to $1 billion, I think. I mean,
well, it's
people
already
love Thor.
flirting. It's flirting with that number already, right? Like
Yeah.
when you look at Thor Ragnarok and the box office results of Thor Love and Thunder.
I mean, who doesn't love the character? And, you know, he's so great. His presence is so great. I mean, look, I love like Chris Evans as Captain America, but I think an argument could be made that Chris Hemsworth is the best character in the MCU in terms of what he's supposed to be doing.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Thor has maybe the single greatest scene in the MCU. That scene, I think it's in Infinity War.
With Rocket.
When he's in the ship with Rocket, and that whole moment when he's just going on about all of his loss and everything he's lost and all the prices he's had to pay and the sacrifices he's had in his life. Like, these guys, my friends, they're dead. My sister's dead. My dad is dead. My brother is dead again for the 5th or 6th or 7th time. My world is destroyed. All this kind of stuff. And like, and then Rocket, paraphrasing, you know, what if you're wrong? And he goes, well, then what do I have left to lose? It's one of the best, I think it is the best performed scene in all the MCU. And here's the other thing about it, Rob, is at this point with where the MCU is right now, Thor has never been more important, because when you're especially talking about the core Avengers, right? Natasha's gone. Hawkeye's semi-sidelined. Tony's gone to a degree. Cap is gone to a degree. Like, he's kind of like the last really remaining pillar of the glory era of the MCU.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always say it's like a sports analogy. Like, when you're rebuilding a team, you don't just go all young. You try to have a mixture of new young players with some veteran players as well for all kinds of stuff. And I think, you know, one of the things that the MCU has done that's been a mistake in phases 5 and whatever has been, they've been so eager to rush new characters that the MCU's kind of lost a bit of its identity, because there's been nothing but new characters, even the ones I love, like Shang-Chi and whatever, but it's new characters. And it's like, I think in that context, making sure you still have a stable, hopefully good Thor project going with Chris Hemsworth. He's kind of now like the elder statesman of the MCU at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's got 4 solo films under his belt. I mean, look, even like, I love Captain America. What Joe Johnston did directing Captain America, the First Avenger, was great and it was charming. But it wasn't until we got Winter Soldier that Chris Evans's Captain America was cemented as one of the GOATs of the MCU. You know, I would say of the 3 main pillars of the MCU, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, I would say that Cap, with his first solo movie, was probably the lesser of the three. But by giving him his second movie, that's when people are like, oh my God, I love this so much. That you meet Sam Wilson, the whole On Your Left thing at the beginning of the movie. Then Natasha picks him up to go on that boat. The scene, it was amazing. Shang-Chi never got that, and it's been 4 years since the first movie came out. They've never followed up really any of these characters with a second film. So the first phases 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU were really carefully built. Cap, Iron Man, and Thor got their trilogies of movies. So you have 9 movies that were building these characters, these pinnacles of the MCU. So you really got to know them. They got their own trilogies within the larger MCU, and they've never gone back to do that again. And I think that's been a mistake. And Thor is the only one. I mean, he's going to get his 5th solo movie. I think the MCU needs it. I think you need like an anchor character, man.
And of course, Hulk could have been one of those, except they turned him into a Hawaiian shirt family barbecue attending Hulk. But so it's not even really Hulk anymore. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? According to reports out there right now that it looks like Marvel might actually be moving forward with another Thor project, which is something we've heard before, but they might even have a title at this point calling it Thor Quest. How do you feel about it? Do you see it the way we see it, that Thor is actually even more important right now to the MCU than ever before? Whatever you guys think or feel about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You guys know, for any of you who've watched my show for any period of time, my absolute #1 most anticipated film of the year is Superman. Damn right. James Gunn has never let me down. I'm not saying James Gunn is a perfect director, but literally, I go over his filmography, his whole career. He has never let me down. He can make great films in Marvel. He can make great films in DC. He's now running this brand new DC cinematic universe. Superman is coming. Our first entry into this brand new universe. All due respect to Creature Commandos, but nobody cared. This is our first entry into the brand new DCU. And James Gunn's doing it. And David Corn Sweat looks great. And listen, up until this point, everything I and Rob, you have heard about this movie has been nothing short of fantastic. We talked a couple of weeks or just last week about how hundreds, thousands of fans were treated to being shown the first full 30 minutes of the film, and they all lost their minds about how great was it. Rob, you and I, we just talked yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember, about the fact that now they've started screening it for exhibitors. They've started screening it for some, what's that? Is it the Matt Reeves thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait on that till
Breaking news.
Yeah.
It's only 11 minutes old.
Yeah, somebody wrote a script. We'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
But like you and I were talking just the other day that we have spoken to several individuals who saw it and they all loved it. Everybody like the person I talked to, a movie theater manager, said to me, I loved it. You, Campea, talking to me, you will be very happy. You talked at length about somebody we know that saw it. Yep. And all the details they gave about how great it is. Now listen, because this is my most anticipated film of the year, and because I rush to tell you guys whenever we hear anything great about it, I feel that it's only fair and it's only objective and it's only balanced if I hear something that isn't so great. I mean, if I'm going to rush onto my show and keep telling you guys every time I hear something great about Superman, which I love doing, it's only fair if I also come to you and let you know when I legitimately hear something not so great about Superman. And that is what I have to do today. They've been doing more screenings of it, Rob. So they've done a number of screenings of Superman now. And I know, and you know, a whole bunch of people that have seen it. I've talked to more people who've seen it, all that kind of stuff. And I can say that every single person I have talked to about this film who has seen it, whether they be, movie theater people, whether they be studio people, whether they be podcasters, whatever, everybody I have talked to has said they either really like it or love it. Until now. I was speaking, well, first I should say there's also one person that I spoke to yesterday that thought it was mid, thought it was, it's all right. Superman's all right. So everybody else I talked to loved it, but this one person I talked to last night, it's all right. But then there's another person I talked to, and she straight up hated it.
Really?
Like, hated it. And this person, she's no DC hater by any stretch of the imagination. And they used words like convoluted. They used words like messy. They used the phrase massively disappointed. And this is somebody who's, not an extremist. Oh, I love comic book movies, or I hate comic book movies, or I love the old DC, or I hate the old. No, pretty balanced person. And they straight up hated it. Now, I have to emphasize, this is one person. But again, in the service of fairness, I just kind of felt like, if I'm going to rush onto my show and put up thumbnails about talking about every time I have somebody tell me that they loved Superman, if I'm going to do that, then it's only fair for me to also come out and say, hey, it's not all roses. It's not 100% of the people that I know that have seen it have loved it. If I'm going to tell you about the good, I need to tell you about the bad. And unfortunately, Rob, the streak I had, my personal streak that I had going here of every single person I know who has seen this has loved it, that streak is now over.
Do I know this lovely lady?
You definitely know of. Okay, I know for a fact that you've met her.
Okay.
I know, but I how much you know them behind the scenes, I'm not sure, but I absolutely know that you've met her. But anyway, again, fairly balanced person. This isn't some extremist kind of thing, and they completely loved it. So, Rob, we always talk about how film is subjective, right? Different movies will hit us in different ways. And despite the fact that I think Warner Brothers, and despite the fact that I think a lot of fans, and hey, I'll put myself in here too. I think despite the fact that I would love to go into the opening of Superman where every single man, woman, and child on the face of God's glorious earth is singing hallelujah to the praises of how great Superman is. Hallelujah. I want that. I want that. I think you want that. I think a lot of the fans watching the show want that. I know Warner Brothers wants that. I know James Gunn wants that. But the reality is, not everybody does. I have now talked to at least one person who was at least underwhelmed by it, and I've talked to one person who just straight up hates this movie and thinks it's terrible. So, I mean, that's the subjectivity of film. Has it taken a little bit of the wind out of my sails as far as my excitement goes? Yes, but that's just because I wanted to hear nothing but pure positive praise about it. But Rob, all films are subjective, and nothing is going to work for everybody. And so are you surprised at this point now that it's not everybody who loves it? And does this do anything to affect kind of your enthusiasm with where you're at right now?
Not at all, because I would say that this movie is a wild swing in terms of the tone, in terms of what it's trying to do. And James Gunn said it himself. If Guardians of the Galaxy 1, we talked about this yesterday, was his homage or his love letter to cinema, he then stated just the other night that this movie is his love letter to comic books. And he is a connoisseur, and he is a great lover of comics, certain eras of comics. Somebody, Tom from a different YouTube channel, posted some comic book panels from John Byrne's post-Crisis on Infinite Earth Superman run from the mid-'80s yesterday. And it was panel for panel, almost the exact recreation of a scene where Superman busts into Luthor's office. He's not talking about the dog, but in the scene, it's set up the same. And when I saw that, I'm like, I love this. I love that James Gunn is doing homages to actual famous comic creators and using them like what comic cover artists would do. They would always do homages to other cover artists. I love that he's doing that, and he's really bringing his deep knowledge of comic book lore to a film, because no one's ever done that for Superman, not like this. And I think a lot of people are going to reject the fantastical fantasy of it all. The fact that it isn't trying to turn Superman into a messianic figure like what Zack Snyder was doing, I thought very well, or what Christopher Reeve was doing at least his first two Superman movies. James Gunn is embracing the whimsy. He's embracing the four-color fantasy. He's embracing the Silver Age in a way that we've never seen before. And I think a lot of people's initial reaction to this is going to be, certainly a lot of the Snyder cultists online have rejected a lot of this movie out of hand because it's so diametrically different from what they've grown up with and they know and they love. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to watch this movie and I think dismiss it out of hand because it's so different from what they want or expect. However, that is exactly what I am excited about. I've seen all these other movies. I love all these other movies. I grew up with George Reeves in the 50s. I went and saw Superman the movie when it first opened in 78. As a kid, I've grown up and read every iteration of Superman comics. This is something new. And for that alone, I'm excited to see an auteurist director who wrote and directed a film, a Superman movie, and made it their own and has a whole new universe to show us. And there's so much potential. And I'm really excited for it for that reason, for personal reasons. And you know what, John? Maybe I too, like this person, maybe she and I will share the same sentiment. I don't know. I'm really tremendously excited for this movie. But if I don't like it, you're going to hear from me. And I'll tell you straight up. You know, I'm not cashing Warner Brothers checks. James Gunn is not sending me promises of a career enhancement if I talk nicely about this movie. I don't get that stuff. All I get is a great movie and a great experience, and that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, look, and again, I really feel like I need to reemphasize here, almost everybody I have spoken to now that has seen this film is raving about it and loves it. I can't emphasize that point enough. Again, to me, though, if I'm going to run on here all, yay, everybody, look, somebody else loves Superman, like exactly what I want to hear. If I'm going to do that, then I also have to be open and fair and tell you guys when somebody hates it. And it's not, guess what? When it comes out, it's not going to have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. All right? It's not. I already know one person who's going to be registering her vote on there, and it ain't going to be a good one, so it's not going to be 100%. And look, to your point, Rob, I may not like it. Like a lot of this year I've spent going to movies I've been really excited about only to walk out kind of disappointed. That could happen with this movie. Absolutely it could. I'm under no delusions that this movie does not have the possibility of sucking. All I'm saying is that I've loved everything I've seen from it so far. I have absolute faith in James Gunn because he's never let me down. I love his vision for what he's doing. And I've heard from the vast majority of people that I've talked to who have seen this film now have absolutely loved it. A lot of them going out of the way just to reach out to me saying, hey, Campea, you're not going to be disappointed, which is great, but not all of them. I've got at least one friend of mine telling me, not so good, not so great. And hey, you know what? That's the same as any movie. Not all movies are going to have everybody love them. There isn't a single movie that's ever been made that everybody loves it, except for maybe the original Toy Story. Anyway, so that's kind of my thing on that. But Rob, I got to ask you, like, we are now basically like 10 days away from this movie coming out. It's like, at least you got your tickets for the advanced Amazon screening, right?
I didn't. I'm going to see it on the opening day.
Oh, dude.
I don't have a ticket.
Okay, I bought a bunch for some friends. If any of them have to back out.
If there's an extra, I'll go.
I will absolutely bring you if an extra pops up here. But
I'll go.
We're about 10 days away now. Where are you right now? Because you've also, like me, you've been talking to a number of people who have seen it. Everybody you've talked to has been lauding it. You've now seen all the promotion and everything. Where are you at right now as far as what you're expecting out of this Superman movie?
I'm expecting to have a great time. You know, I'm expecting to smile a lot and clap and woohoo and hoot and holler and want to leave the theater wanting to get a Hot Toys figure of David Cornsweet as Superman with his crypto. You know, I'm really excited. Like, how can you not be excited about like this movie? To me, you know what, John? I can equate it. I brought up Pacific Rim earlier. I was deliriously excited to see Pacific Rim, and I went and saw a screening of it about 4 months in advance with some friends and at the Burbank 16.
Right.
And Guillermo del Toro showed up, and no one knew he was there. He was in the lobby afterwards greeting everybody. That audience went bananas. It was like being at a WWF event. You know, people were standing up applauding in the theater. I got exactly what I'd hoped to get out of that Pacific Rim screening and that movie. I love the first Pacific Rim. I haven't felt that way about a movie until this Superman since then, because it tickled my child. I loved Japanese science fiction. I loved Japanese robots. I love kaiju movies growing up. You know, give me Jet Jaguar and Godzilla versus Megalon. I was like, I couldn't believe that somebody made Pacific Rim. I kind of feel that way about this movie. It's got all this great stuff that I loved as a kid, reading comic books like James Gunn was talking about. I love that scene when he goes in and confronts Luthor. Where's the dog? You know, I loved all that. Yeah. And that tone is what I want from this movie. This isn't to say I don't love other kinds of movies, but my anticipation for this is off the charts. Not quite as high as Project Hail Mary, but somewhere close, because I expect to have a great time. You know, because it has everything that I love. So,
yeah, I am practically drooling. I cannot. But again, like I've been saying all month, I am really set up for disappointment. Because,
yeah, me too.
I have not been hyped for this movie in well over a year. Like the last time I was this excited for a film was Deadpool and Wolverine, and thankfully that delivered. But I mean, I am really set up for big disappointment if this thing doesn't.
I have to say, James Gunn has made 6 feature films that I love: Slither, Super, Guardians 1 through 3, and The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed that's 6 movies. So I can't imagine, knowing his sensibility and knowing what he's going to bring to the table, I can't imagine that I would have an adverse, like, to hate this movie. I don't know who this woman is, but to say they hate it, it might be a tonal issue. You know, I can understand if you like the mythic nature, even Christopher Reeve's more grounded Superman. You know, there's not kaiju in there. There's not Crypto, the flying superdog. That in itself is a sensibility issue that I think a lot of people might reject out of hand. I know a lot of the people that love Zack Snyder's work are going to have a really hard time embracing this movie because of that tone. And I get it. I get it. But I think we should all give it a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing
We
this.
both love Man of Steel.
Yeah, I love most of the stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
So, anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, if you were like me and you're kind of hoping when those first things come out and the first reviews come out and the Rotten Tomato score goes up, if you're like me and you've been kind of hoping it would be like a pure, straight out of the shot, 100%, well, it ain't. It's not going to be that, because I now know at least somebody who completely really did not like it. And again, this is somebody who's pretty balanced kind of reviewer. So it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. No movie is. Hopefully we'll love it. We'll see. We're like 10 days away now from seeing it. Whatever you guys are feeling about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do this one little breaking news thing that Rob was alluding to a little bit earlier. In the world of where the hell, as we are now years since the first Batman came out, where is the script for the Batman 2? Well, according to reports that have now just come out, Matt Reeves, they're saying, has now turned in the script for Batman 2. At least that's what we think. We think he has. And we also now know that he has a co-writer on it as well. It goes on to say this: the Batman Part 2 is officially on the way, as the acclaimed filmmaker behind the epic crime saga has revealed a long-awaited script update. After James Gunn recently debunked a turn-in date for the screenplay, Matt Reeves has now chimed in with a social media post that should please anxious DC fans that have waited for years for the sequel. And this is it. Matt Reeves and Tomlin. Tomlin, take this picture with the Batman Part 2 script sitting there on the table.
There it is, buddy.
Yeah, apparently Tomlin also helped write the first one. So they've got it. Apparently the script is done. Now, it's important to keep in mind, this might not be the only script that they have to write. Because if I remember, Rob, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think James Gunn has said he hasn't read it yet. He was waiting for Matt to finish the draft before he even reads it. Now, remember, James Gunn and Peter Safran are the heads of the studio. So it is possible that Matt Reeves now turns in this script and James Gunn and Peter Safran send it back with notes that maybe they want a second draft or something like that. Don't know. And you know what else this also still leaves the question open for? Because the script's done, at least the first pass at it, because we can't say it's locked until the head of the studio reads it. But it doesn't answer two other important questions. One, when are we going to get a Batman 2? Right? Because, okay, great. A draft of the script is done. We have no idea when it's going to get greenlit, when they're going to go into production, when they're going to try. This movie could still, without exaggeration, Rob, this movie could still be 3 years away. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is. So the first question that is still unanswered is, when are we going to get this Batman movie? The second question that pops up that this post does not address, that I think a lot of people are wondering, is Matt Reeves going to direct it? Because there have been some rumblings that he may not actually end up directing this, which I'm okay. It's okay if he doesn't. He has set the template. He has set the world. He has set the tone. It's okay if another director comes and directs. Hell, remember, George Lucas didn't direct Empire Strikes Back. So, but I still would like to know, when are we getting this thing? And number two, is he still going to direct it? But anyway, Rob, how significant do you think it is now that Matt Reeves is finally coming out and say, boom, here's your script? And what lingering questions do you think we still have here?
Well, first of all, I think, there's something called the weekend read at studios and agencies. Big scripts go out, this is going to be a weekend read. And everybody who has anything to say about this would be a big weekend read at Warner Brothers. If it's indeed done, it will go out to people like Peter Safran and James Gunn. It'll go out to David Zaslav. It will go out to all the people that, the higher ups, the upper echelon. And they will either have a conversation about it on Sunday or Monday morning. They'll have a meeting about it. And I would imagine, because the first Batman did quite well, it was over $700 million.
Yeah, it did great.
This is a priority for the studio. It's something they could absolutely fast track into production, because it doesn't really affect what James Gunn and Peter Safran are doing at the DCEU. This is a pretty significant event, because having a great script, the amount of time it took to get this script, I would imagine it's probably quite good and not quite the departure that Joker 2 was. I think this will be, or Fallait 2, I think this script will be something that they'll be very excited about. So, if it happens, I think it would happen fairly quickly. Knowing the script is out there.
Just pointing out that Rafael Lopez pointing out, the Batman script gets announced and Jonathan's not in the studio today. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. Now, look, right now, they do have an announced release window of October of 2027, but that could be a pipe dream. Because again, I mean, if James Gunn and Peter Safran look at this and think, we need another pass at this, or here's some minor changes that it could take Matt Reeves another 6 months to do that, because he moves notoriously slow. So I don't know, but hey, it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction. We might actually have a script.
And I do think, John, that because they put this on social media, that this was a studio approved picture. They said it was okay to do it.
I don't see why the studio would have a problem with them doing it. Again, though, I just need to reemphasize to everybody that just a week or two ago, James Gunn confirmed he has not read the script.
Yeah.
Right? So he was waiting for Matt Reeves to finish it, and he wanted Matt Reeves to finish it without his interference, without any involvement, and then he was going to wait till that he had his draft done to turn it in, and then he can read it. And I mean, look, maybe everything goes perfectly, right? Like maybe James Gunn and Peter Safran look at it and go, "Sacre bleu, this is amazing," and they green light it right away and they put the wheels in motion. Or we're still a year away from them going into production. I don't know. But again, at least it's a step in the right direction. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Matt Reeves has now told the world that they're done, at least with the first draft of the Batman 2 script. Hopefully James Gunn and Peter Safran look at it and think it's utter perfection, and that's it. They can now start actually planning to shoot this thing. Or maybe it has to go back for a few rewrites. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to move on and start taking your questions that you guys have sent in. But before we do, we are going to bid adieu and have a great weekend to Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend.
Thank you, sir. And Project Hail Mary, get excited.
I can't wait for us to talk. I mean, I'm really hoping there's going to be stuff in this trailer that we didn't see at CinemaCon. Like, I'm hoping we're going to see some new stuff. So it's going to be great to see. Good to have you as always, man. And I'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
Take care, Rob. All right, guys. With that all down, let's now spend the rest of our time here getting on to your comments and questions here, shall we? Let's get things started off with this. We're going to start off with an anonymous person who writes, Ironheart didn't not work for me. That's double negative. So did it work for you or did it not work for you? Ironheart really didn't not work for me. The whole point is she's super intelligent, but decides to commit crimes for money. And the whole Iron Man is a billionaire. So that's why he's Iron Man when Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box full of scraps. All right. I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to bring that up. First of all, I don't like Ironheart very much. I didn't hate it, which is much better than I thought because I thought I was going to straight up hate it. I didn't hate it, but I don't think it's all that good either. But I've been seeing this thing around like, this is a dumb thing. I guess I can take my headphones off now. It's a pretty dumb thing to me. This notion of, well, it's so dumb that she needs money and only saying Tony Stark's only Tony Stark because he's a billionaire. And everybody then says, because he built his Iron Man outfit out of nothing but scraps. Time out. Two big important things. Number one, well, three really big important things. Number one, Tony grew up rich, having exposure to the greatest education and the greatest technology in a family business that made weapons and technology and all that kind of stuff. So the only reason he knew how to do any of this stuff was because he grew up rich and constantly surrounded by the highest end technology and the highest of educations. Number two, despite what Obadiah Stane said, Tony did not make the first Iron Man suit out of a box of scraps. He was provided stuff by his captors, okay? It wasn't the highest end tech lab or anything like that, but it wasn't literally a box of car parts. He was being provided the stuff he told his captors that he needed. Number three, and this is the most important thing, Tony was not able to make a legit Iron Man suit in that cave. He made a very fundamental, rudimentary suit of armor that could move, have a flamethrower on it, and had some booster rockets. That's it. He did not make a legit Iron Man suit. I mean, yeah, they call it the Mark I, but still, he didn't make a legit Iron Man suit in that cave with a bunch of technology that his captors provide. He made a very rudimentary, very basic, very simple, thick piece of armor that people shot. Tony Stark then went home to his $10 billion mansion and go down into his $60 billion workshop and lab, where using his billions and billions and billions of dollars was able to put together what we now recognize as the Iron Man suit. All right. So listen, I'm not what you would call a fan of the Ironheart show. Make no mistake. But this whole thing about, how come she said she needs money if Tony could make it out of a box of scraps? That is not how that movie went. Did you watch Iron Man? That's not how it went. She is 100% correct. Riri was 100% correct, saying Tony would not have been Tony were it not for the billions of dollars. He would not have been Iron Man without the billions of dollars. It's just that. I mean, again, I'm not even a fan of the show, but I have to defend that one part because she's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. Anyway, thanks for writing in the question. And listen, I'm not only giving you a hard time because I've heard it from other people too, dude. So I'm just busting your balls here a little bit. Anyway, thanks for writing in. All right. Next up, we got Saja Boys fan writes, in my opinion, Sony released a really awesome animated movie on Netflix called K-Pop Demon Hunters, and I believe it has a few potential best song for the Oscars and possibly best animated feature. I highly recommend it. Not interested. Don't let the K-pop title scare you. Nah, I'm not interested. Listen, I constantly have really well-intentioned, well-meaning people writing into me saying, John, check out this anime. John, check out this anime. Guys, I'm just generally not a big fan of anime. I mean, I like a lot of the big, more popular ones, right? That we talk about all the time on the show, but I'm just generally not a fan of modern, like post 2023 animated stuff. I even didn't like frickin' Laufey. What's One Piece. I didn't even like One Piece. I love the live action show, but I don't even like One Piece. An anime called K-Pop Demon Hunters. Look, I'm just going to go out on a limb and not say that it's not good, because I can't say it's not good. I haven't seen it, but I can clearly say it's not for me, right? That genre of stuff just isn't for me. And that's fine. Not everything is for everybody. And that kind of stuff just isn't for me. That's all. But I'm sure if you're a fan of that stuff, then I'm sure that this sounds like it would be really great. All right. Next up. We've got Jake Galbo, who tips in a $20 tip. Thank you, man. He writes, Mr. Campea, if you can pick for the Muppets to remake a trilogy, which one would it be? OG Star Wars or The Godfather? Spielberg does Star Wars or Nolan does The Godfather. Daniel Day-Lewis agrees to do whichever they pick and James Cameron produces. Look, the answer to this is clearly obvious. It's the Star Wars one. Kids, because a Muppets movie, while a big nostalgia factor, also needs to appeal to kids. No kids have watched The Godfather. All the kids have seen Star Wars. And by the way, there's a lot of connection between the Muppets and Star Wars. Even the Muppet Babies used to do a lot of Star Wars stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, were the Muppets to do a live action remake of one of those, it would make zero sense for them to do a live action remake of Godfather. That wouldn't make any sense for them at all. So clearly the one for them to do would be either Star Wars, or what I want to see is a full feature version of, as Marcus Y is saying in the live chat, of Pigs in Space. Only some of you get that reference, but for those of you who do, good on you. I would totally be down for a complete full action version of Pigs in Space. All right. Next up, thanks for that, Jake. Appreciate it, man. And thank you for supporting us on that level with that $20 tip, dude. I appreciate that. All right, Dildar the Glorious writes, I felt Ironheart has been meh so far. Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. Didn't feel like a lot has happened and didn't get interesting till the ending of episode 3. And the side characters feel underdeveloped, but the effects are surprisingly good for a Disney Plus show. Hey, I'll give you that. Yes, I was pleasantly surprised by how good visually it looks. Like even in that first scene in episode 1, when she's just it wasn't the first scene, but in the first part of episode 1, as she's like walking the lab and the iron suit starts flying to her and assembling around her, like visually that looked great. And I will give it its credit. It does look great. One of the many glaring weaknesses of the show, though, are its supporting characters, at least up until this point. Like the whole crew, other than the main guy, the Hood, and his cousin. I think the Hood and his cousin are really interesting, them. But everybody else in the crew, nonsense. Just terrible characters. That I number one, don't believe any of them are actually good at the things they say they're good at. and I just don't care about them. So yeah, again, I fully expected to hate this show, but there's enough going for it so far that I don't hate it. I don't particularly like it, but I don't hate it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll watch the last 3 episodes. Let's see where it goes. Let's see if they can stick the landing and make something salvageable out of this. We'll see. I'm not expecting that they will, but I'll see. All right. Next up, we got Bry Guy, who writes, Susan Hayward, Sister Sage from The Boys. She was great in that, by the way. As a female take on this is a ex-actor in ex-role sort of question. All right. As a female take on Felix Leiter or Q, Florence Pugh as MI6's Moneypenny, Giancarlo Esposito or Vincent D'Onofrio as Ernest Stavro Blofeld, Emilio Largo from Pick an Order, Nicolas Cage as Jaws. All that's fine. That's all fine. Like, you guys know what I'll always say. Ex-actor and ex-role, I don't care. The only thing I care about, at least by far the most important thing I care about, is, are you hiring talented performers, talented actors? That's all I care about. So yeah, I mean, the girl who played Sister Sage, she's great. Florence Pugh is clearly an amazing actress. Giancarlo Esposito, sure, but that doesn't mean they're the people to play those roles. But hey, listen, were they to come out tomorrow and announce them as being in the movie, I wouldn't be against it because they're very talented actors. All right. Next up, Garden Variety Vagabond writes, on the previous conversation of Warner Brothers marketing for Superman, do you think we will see a Batman symbol in the sky over New York City, Gotham, when his Batman DCU movie comes out? How much of a joygasm would that give? So, do I think we will see a Batman symbol in the sky over New York City when in the upcoming? So, are you asking when we get the new DCU Batman movie, whenever that is, whenever Brave and the Bold comes out? Do I think we'll see the bat signal in the sky? 100%. 100%. Yeah, of course. Listen, James Gunn is obsessed with the comics, and like the bat signal. The bat signal is iconic. So, I mean, 100% that'll get used. I have absolutely zero doubt about that. All right. Next up, Jean-Luc Solo writes, 2025 movies ranked thus far. Number 1, Sinners. I agree. Number 2, Warfare. I disagree. Number 3, Thunderbolts. I would move Thunderbolts into number 2. Number 4, How to Train Your Dragon. Number 5, Companion. If Life of Chuck counted, it would be number 4. Oh yeah, because Life of Chuck, technically, well, no, Life of Chuck hit theaters this year, so I think it does count. So I think Life of Chuck does count. Yeah, I like your list so far. I think the only change I would make is I would have Sinners number 1. I might, don't take this too seriously. I might totally give a completely different order tomorrow, but just for now, I think I would give Sinners number 1. I think I would say Thunderbolts is number 2, Warfare number 3, How to Train Your Dragon number 4, and I would say F1 at number 5. I really liked F1. I mean, not enough to have it higher on the list, but I really, really liked F1. And I loved Companion. Don't get me wrong, I really like Companion, but I would say I think F1 nudges out Companion and Life of Chuck for me. So I think right now, again, don't take this too seriously. I might have a totally different list tomorrow. I would say number 1, Sinners, number 2, Thunderbolts, number 3, Warfare, number 4, How to Train Your Dragon, and number 5, F1 is what I would do right now. All right. Next up, we've got Rex, who writes, hey guys, did you see on the AMC app, there's a little bar now that tells you the movie starts 25 to 30 minutes after showtime. I think they're listening to you, John. I had somebody from AMC write to me, and I think they were probably just being facetious and joking around, but I literally had somebody that works with AMC write to me about this and say, hey, don't think that people around here don't watch what you're saying. I think he said that as a joke, but I've had 100 people write to me and say, hey, John, AMC's listening to you. I don't think anybody listens to me. Let's be clear. But the only problem I have with that, well, I have 2 problems. Number 1, and I said this yesterday, AMC needs to make that disclaimer more prominent on the page, because I think somebody could easily miss that on the page. I think they need to put it right beside the showtime that says, showtime 7 p.m. asterisk, movie starts 25 to 30 minutes after the showtime. I think they need to make that a little bit more prominent. But my second big problem is that it's a lie. I went to go see F1 the other day in AMC theaters, and it was supposed to start at 8, and it started at 8:20. So if I had relied on AMC's movie will start 25 to 30 minutes after the stated showtime, if I relied on that and I walked in that theater at 7:20 or at 8:25, I would have missed the first 5 minutes of the movie. So anyway, look, it's a good first step by finally at least being a little bit honest with your audience and telling them, hey, the movie actually starts 25 to 30 minutes later. That's a good first step. I'm not trying to take away from that. That is a positive first step. But it's useless if you then try to manipulate and trick the audience by then starting the movie earlier than that and try to manipulate the audience to start coming to the movies earlier and earlier. So I hope they fix that. All right. Next up, we've got Savakos86 writes, saw Megan 2.0 last night. Movie start time, according to Regal, was 7:40. Ads, not trailers, played until 7:53. Trailers ended at 8:10. See, that's unacceptable. Anyway, and a Google ad played in between the trailers too. I love going to the theater, but this is ridiculous. Yeah, I won't relaunch my whole rant on this. But again, hey, movie theaters. If you're wondering, gosh, why do less people come to the movies today? I don't know. Maybe it's because you treat them like dirt. And you tell them a movie starts at 7 when really it doesn't start till 7:30. And they're paying a babysitter probably like $60 an hour. And you're anyway, you're right, dude. That is unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. All right. Next up, we've got Venom's Dentist, who writes, my biggest issue with Ironheart is Natalie. I have an issue with Natalie as well. She looks too lifelike. She'd work better if she looked more like a hologram. Theory, maybe they're going for a tech-based resurrection, and in coming episodes, the Hood might bring back his cousin using magic. I mean, yeah, I listen, the Hood using magic, making a deal with the devil to try to bring his cousin back. I'm not saying that will happen, but I could totally see them doing something like that. One of my biggest issues, Natalie just does not work for me. Just doesn't. It's like, I'm sorry, because you had a little thing taped to your head overnight when you fell asleep, a computer just completely recreated in perfect detail your friend. What is this, Weird Science Part 2? Who has all the memories. Oh, and it even has PTSD of when a gun was pulled on her in real life. It's not working for me. The Natalie thing could have been interesting. It does raise some interesting philosophical questions about the proper use of AI. Like when the mom says, can you like recreate my dead husband? It does. I'm going to give it its credit. It does raise some interesting philosophical questions, but just as the character and how easy she was able to do it, even in a Marvel Cinematic Universe world where we believe in Norwegian gods with thunder hammers and all like I don't know. It didn't click for me. Hopefully she'll grow on me, but as of right now, does not click for me. All right, just to cut time for a couple more, guys. Matan Valinsky writes, the problem that people with AI is knowing that it can only produce slop. That's not true. That's actually completely false. Anyway, can only produce slop, so we are fearing that execs can use the word content will used it to feed us even more slop. We had enough with Coco Melon and Electric State. AI will only be used for slop. Oh no, that's a stupid thing to say. That's not true at all. Movie executives will use things that they think will make them money. And if they put out slop, then we're not going to go see it and they'll lose money. Look, I think this is all based on a question that somebody wrote to me the other day. So somebody wrote me and asked me this question. If, it was a theoretical question, but they wrote, if some filmmaker was able to use AI to make like a good movie, would you go see it? To which my answer was yes. If it's a good movie. And I don't think AI is at the place right now that it could possibly do that. I don't think we're even close to AI being able to do that. But if, theoretically, at some point in the future, AI was capable, which I don't think it is, but if at some point in the future, AI became capable of producing and did produce a good movie, well, isn't that why we watch movies? To see good movies? I honestly don't really care where it comes from. Now, that raises a whole other bunch of philosophical and ethical questions about AI and the use of AI. 100%. I'm not making any statements at all. I'm just saying, if X, whatever X is, made a good movie, would I watch it? Well, if it's a good movie, yes. And I don't really expect to see, like right now, studios are only using AI in places that we don't even barely notice it. In some cases at any rate. But at some point, they might hit that place. I just don't think we're close to it yet. I could be wrong, but right now, I don't think we're close to it. All right. Last question of the day. Gregor writes, "Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much. I noticed the AMC app put up notice saying that movies start 25 to 30 minutes after showtime. So I guess they're no longer randomly starting some screenings after 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, they are. They shouldn't, but they are. Just happened to me the other day. That's an improvement so we can just show up 25 minutes late. Listen, I have always said, if you want to start your movie 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes after your stated showtime, I'm okay with that as long as you also communicate to us as audience members what time the movie actually starts. I mean, it's still not good, but it's okay. If you want to advertise 7 p.m. showtime, movie actually starts at 7:32, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. You're at least telling me if all I want is the movie, like I'm paying you all my money to come to a movie, and that's all I want. I'm not paying you so I can watch a half hour of advertisements. If I wanted a half hour of advertisements, you should show me the movie for free. But if I'm paying you, all I want is the movie. And if you're going to tell me what time the movie actually starts, then philosophically, you and I have no problems. You and I are good. The problem is, as I just said, I just went the other night to go see F1. That said it was going to start at 7 o'clock, and it was in an AMC theater. So according to this thing by AMC, that means the earliest that F1 should have started, it was 8:25. Stated showtime was 8. They say the movie will start somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes after the stated showtime. So the movie, you'd think, would start at the earliest at 8:25. Well, thankfully, Ann and I had to drive to another movie theater, so we left a little bit early, and we got there a little bit early, and that movie started at 7:20. Had I shown up at 7:25, like AMC's website says it's okay to show up at 7:25, I should have said 8:25. If I had showed up at 8:25, I would have missed the first 5 minutes of the movie, a movie I paid for. So if AMC can get their collective shit together and stop being the bunch of incompetent boobs that they apparently are, if they can predominantly show audiences the disclaimer that, hey, yeah, the showtime's that, but the movie starts 25 to 30 minutes after that. And then if they actually stick to that we can rely on it, I would say that is a major step in the right direction. That would be a major step in the right direction, and I'll be okay with that. So, we'll have to see. All right, guys, look, there are more questions that have been sent in since this last one, but I don't have John. These are the questions that were sent in up until the point that just before I started the show. And unfortunately, I don't have Jonathan here to pull all the ones that got sent in during the show. So if you sent in a question during the show, don't worry. We've got them. They're in the database. We'll just get around to answering those on Monday's episode. So guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have an opportunity to do an open mic sometime over the weekend. Just keep your eyes open on the channel, see if that happens. I hope I can. And if not, we will back here again on Monday. Hey guys, listen, if you're here, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. All these things get fed as homage to the YouTube algorithm gods, and it helps our channel out a great deal without causing you to do much effort. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.